Hello everyone, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com and I'm back today with another tutorial that features the beads directly from the contents of the Orchid Oasis collection, which you can find at Eureka Crystal Beads. This is for the beaded bead that I shared in the collection unboxing. If you haven't seen that video, I will try to link that in the corner. And this beaded bead is one of the projects that I featured as a finished piece in that video. So I'm back today to show you how I made that beaded bead. And as usual with these types of projects, they're very versatile. You can see that with this example right here, I have just inserted a piece of wire through the bead and added some loops on either end to attach some chain. The chain itself even came in the collection. Something else you can do with a beaded bead is also add a long tassel to the bottom, whether that is a cord or silk tassel, or you can attach a wire wrap loop, and instead of having the bead sitting horizontally just on the chain by itself, you can actually use a loop at the bottom to hang off segments of chain and make a chain tassel, and then add that to either some cord or some chain to be able to wear that around your neck as a necklace. You can also put multiple beaded beads together, mix them in with plain pearls, and all sorts of other things. So this is one of those items that will make a component that you can keep very simple or get really creative with. So as you can see, some of the materials we'll be using today are the 8mm chaton stones. We'll be encasing one on either side, which I think is pretty cool. We also have our O beads, some 11/0 seed beads, the 4mm round pearls, and also our pinch beads. I'll make sure to leave the link for the collection where you can find all these beads right down below the video. I'll also leave the links for each of these items separately if you want to pick them up separately. And I'll list everything else you'll need, of course. Your scissors, you may need some chain depending on if you're going to use that. We'll also be using 2 beading needles today, one on either side. I'll be using a size 10 and also my go-to 6-pound Fireline. You can use whatever beading thread you're comfortable with. And you may need some jewelry pliers, some jump rings, a clasp, those sorts of additions depending on what you want your final piece of jewelry to be. So go ahead and thread a needle on both ends of about 6 feet of thread, and then we will jump into this tutorial. All right, we're gonna start out with one side and then we're gonna work on the other. I'll just pick up my right hand needle first. And I'm just gonna start by picking up a pinch bead, then 3 O beads, and then a pinch bead, 3 more O beads, a pinch bead, another 3 O beads. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these down. Free up some needle space, a pinch bead, and then 3 more O beads. And pull this down to about the center of your thread. So holding both needles, just go ahead and pull all of those beads down. And then what you want to do is you want to cross your other needle through those last 3 pinch beads. So take your needle on your left-hand side and then just go through those 3 O beads. And when you pull that, your needles will switch places and you end up with a loop that looks like this. We're going to be adding on to this with 3 more segments that are going to look just like it. Since we already have this side of the square in place for our next unit, we're going to start by picking up, just on our right hand needle, a pinch bead, 3 O beads, a pinch bead, and we can pick up 3 O beads, and we can pull those down to our work. And then with your other needle, you can pick that up and pick up a pinch bead, 3 O beads, a pinch bead, and pull those down. And then with your left-hand needle, you're going to cross through these 3 O beads on the other side that you've already added. So take your needle on the left and just go through those 3 O beads that are on the right-hand side. And pull both threads together and you end up with another unit that looks just like the first one. Your threads switch places and you're going to do this 2 more times. So with your right hand needle, pick up a pinch bead, 3 O beads, a pinch bead, and 3 O beads. And you can pull those down. And just like you did before, you're going to pick up a pinch bead, 3 O beads, and a pinch bead with your left-hand needle, and then you're going to cross through. Make sure you have those turned the right way. You want them turning toward the left, but cross through those last 3 O beads on the other side. Your threads will switch places as you pull them. And now you have 3 units. All right, now we're going to make another unit, but it's actually going to be slightly different this time because that last unit is going to join to these 3 O beads, and this whole thing is going to form its own loop. So what we want to do is pick up a pinch bead, 3 O beads, and then 1 more pinch bead, and you can pull those down. Same sequence on the other side, so you see we didn't add those additional 3 O beads. So pick up a pinch bead, 3 O beads, and a pinch bead. Pull those down. And the 3 O beads that are going to complete this segment are sitting over here. So we're actually going to just take our work and flip this over. You can fold it over to get a better idea of where your needle needs to go. But the needle on the right is going to go through the first 3 O beads down there on our unit that we started with. Go ahead and pull that one before you worry about your other thread. Then I'm going to take the thread that was on my left-hand side here, and I'm going to go through the 3 O beads in the opposite direction. And then when we pull these, you can see that brought our last unit together and also connected it to the beginning. So we have this little kind of cube shape forming that looks like this. We've got 4 different sides to this bead, and we're also going to have a top and a bottom. And now this is optional, but it's something I like to do while we are in that corner where we just joined those 2 units. I'm going to take my needle just on the right hand side for now because that's the side we're going to pick up with, and I'm just going to make a 1/2 inch knot right in the corner just to keep that nice and tight and get us started with a base that's already together. So I just did 1 1/2 inch knot right in that corner there. And I want to proceed through the next pinch bead and the next 3 O beads. And now we're going to work on this top open section of our cube. Let's just think of it as a cube. And we're going to be adding 4 more pinch beads around this open section first. First, we're just going to pick up 1. And we're going to go through the next 3 O beads. There we go, just place that one in that corner. Now give this a little turn, and you're going to do that again. We're coming out of these 3 O beads, picking up a pinch bead, and going through the next 3 O beads to add another pinch bead in that corner. Turn it a little bit. And repeat that 2 more times. Now we have 1 more to add in that corner, so I'm picking up my pinch bead, and we'll go through the next 3 O beads. It might flip around on you a little bit, but it'll get easier as you go and as this tightens up. But now you can see we have these 4 pinch beads in our corner here. And let's go through all those beads again just to tighten this up a little bit more. So I'm going to continue on through the pinch bead that we added at first, and then through the next 3 O beads, going all the way around that ring that we just formed. You can go through 1 bead at a time or go through multiple beads at a time if you're able to. Coming out of the next pinch bead there, continuing through the next 3 O beads. You'll find that the more you go around this beaded bead, the stronger it will become, which is what you want. You want it to be really sturdy. going through the next pinch bead, through the next 3 O beads, and you're welcome to go through more than once around your section there again if you'd like to. I'll leave it at that for now. And I'm actually just going to make a little 1/2 inch knot right there after the 3 O beads that I'm coming out of to keep that area tight while we work on the opposite side. So you still have your left hand thread that we haven't worked with yet. We're going to complete the same thing on the opposite end of the cube, that other open end. So this time pick up your left hand thread. We're just going to be working with that one. It's coming out of these 3 O beads. And remember, before we started out by making a 1/2 inch knot right next to that area. There we go, just tighten that up a little bit. Then go through the next pinch bead and the next 3 O beads. And then this is that kind of open section again that we have left at the bottom where we need to add a pinch bead in between each of the groups of 3 O beads. So I've got a pinch bead, then I'll go through the next 3 O beads, pull, and that's going to put that one in the corner. Turn it a little bit, pick up a pinch bead, go through the next 3 O beads, turn it a little bit, another pinch bead, through the next 3 O beads, and pull this as you go, and we've got one more corner to finish up there. So we'll pick up one more pinch bead and go through the next 3 O beads. And I'm just going to continue on through the work here in the center like we did before, where we were just tightening this up. Just going to proceed on through that whole center ring of beads, as many as I can get through at one time, because it'll just make it easier. And hold this with your thumb and your forefinger as you go, and tighten with your other hand. I'm going to continue on through that loop of beads to strengthen it a little bit more before we move on. And feel free to go around twice if you'd like to. It'll just make it even stronger. All right, so I've got this pulled tightly, and I'm just going to make a little knot right there to keep this portion tight as we... All right, so take a moment to look at what you have. You basically have a cube that looks like this. You have 6 different sides, and it's a little wobbly for now. We're going to be straightening that all up and filling in a lot of these open sections. What you can do now is just work on the same side of thread that you were currently working on, and you can complete the next steps with that same piece of thread until you run out, and then you can pop a needle on the other thread and pick back up with that one if you'd like to do that. For the next steps, we're going to need to bring in our 4mm pearls. All right, so we're going to be adding 4 pearls in each of these open sections on all 6 sides of this bead. And we're going to be attaching them directly to the groups of 3 O beads, and then also reinforcing by going through the 4 pearls themselves after that. So starting coming out of 3 of the O beads, just go ahead and pick up a pearl, and then go back through the same O beads that you were exiting. Just go through the opposite side and pull. You can see that adds a little pearl right there off of that bead. Now proceed through the next pinch bead and the next 3 O beads. Pick up another pearl and go back through those same 3 O beads that you are currently exiting. Turn it a little bit. Go through your next pinch bead and the next 3 O beads. Pick up a pearl. Then go back through those same 3 O beads, turn, go through the pinch bead, and then those final 3 O beads right there. And let's add on our 4th pearl. Go back through those same 3 O beads. And now you have 4 pearls that are sticking out here around this section. Follow your thread path through the next pinch bead and the next 3 O beads. And then step up and go through that pearl. And what you want to do is you're going to be bringing those pearls together in the center. So now that you have those in place, you want to string through all 4 of those pearls. That's going to be cinching this up together. So now I'm going through that 3rd pearl, turn it a little bit, and I'm going to go through the 4th pearl. See how that's coming together? And yeah, this is going to be a little mushy right now, but it'll all come together, so don't worry about it. Just worry about getting your beads in place, and then you're going to tighten this all up at the end. All right, now we need to go through the 1st pearl again to bring these all together. And we need to continue around these pearls 2 more times. Get those pearls to sit right next to each other, nice and tight. Once again, don't worry if they are sticking up or if they are sitting underneath the pinch beads. Just get those pearls to sit together in a cluster of 4. And this will all settle into place. So I'm just going around all of these, getting them nice and tight, pulling after each one. And then once you have gone through all of these pearls twice at least, you should have something like this, where you have 4 pearls sitting in the center of one of your sections and the other ones are still open. So we need to move to another section. It doesn't matter which section you move to, just follow your thread path. I'm going to go down through these 3 O beads, and I'll just work on this next section where my thread is coming out. So I'm going to pick up a pearl, just like we did before. Go through the opposite side of the 3 O beads, move on through the next pinch bead, and the next 3 O beads of that unit that you're facing. Pick up a pearl, go back through the same 3 O beads, turn through the pinch bead, through the O beads, and continue on until you have 4 pearls going around that face. All right, and once again, we have our 4 pearls in place, and we want to bring all of those together. Just gonna follow my thread path. I'm gonna go right up through that same pearl that is right above us, to step up and get through that hole, and then continue sewing through all 4 of those pearls in that section. Bringing all those together. And I like to just squeeze the beaded bead that we're working on as needed, just to keep everything tight. And as we turn, just kind of squeeze it together so you get rid of any of those maybe possibly loose sections of thread, just because we still have areas to fill in. And just like you did before, go around that group of 4 pearls at least twice to make sure they are nice and strong. Once you have done that, then you're just going to do exactly what we did before, which was follow your thread path to whatever next open side you want to work on. You'll have 4 more left to do, and you're going to do the exact same thing to add 4 more pearls in each of those sections and then reinforce them. So if you need to, you can back up the video and complete the next steps. And at that point, you'll have 6 groups of 4 pearls, 1 group on each face of this bead. So continue on, and we will meet back at that point. All right, I just wanted to come back real quick before finishing that step because I wanted to show you that's about how far I got with that one segment of thread, and then I just knotted it off and wove the rest of it back in. Now I'm picking up with the other side of the thread, which is coming out of these 3/0 beads, and I'm just going to finish up my remaining 2 sections. But this is how it should look so far, and you can see sometimes these pearls are going to dip under there, sometimes they might be sticking out. It's totally fine either way right now. Just focus on getting those pearls on each side, and then it'll all come together as we continue working on it. All right, so here's what you should have so far. You can see you have your pearl clusters on all sides of the beaded bead, yet it's still a little bit loose. You can kind of mush it around a little bit, and some of the pearls kind of pop up and some want to sit underneath. And actually that's fine because 2 of these sections are going to contain our crystals. I've gone ahead and just poked down one side there. That's actually going to form the base for one of our crystals, and then the other crystal will sit on the other side. So it doesn't matter which face of the bead, just pick one and pop those pearls down so that they sit underneath a little bit. And then your crystal is going to sit on top of those pearls, and we're going to use our 11/0 seed beads at this point to hold them in place. Before we put in the crystal, let me just follow my thread path up to that section and proceed through one of your pinch beads so that you're coming out of that, and then pick up an 11/0. Go through the next pinch bead on that face, which it's going to end up putting an 11/0 right over top of the 3/0 beads. Then repeat, picking up an 11/0, go through the next pinch bead, turn, pick up an 11/0 through the next pinch bead, and do that one more time. Now you're exiting out of that pinch bead. Now go through the first 11/0 you added and pick up 3 more 11/0s and go through the next 11/0. You don't need to tighten this down too much yet because we still need to add our crystal inside, but let's get our beads in place. So I've got 3 more 11/0s going through the next 11/0. It's going to form a little diamond shape of seed beads. 3 more 11/0s, go through the next, and do that one more time. Finishing off by going through the next 11/0, but you can actually proceed through more of them because we're going to reinforce the section. But remember, don't pull tight yet because we're going to take our crystal and drop that in there on top of the pearls, just like that. You can see our seed beads are still loose, but let's start to tighten this up. And there it goes. It tightens it up right on top of that crystal beautifully, doesn't it? So let's go through those seed beads again. And this time I'm actually going to skip those corner seed beads. So I'm just going to go through the 3 that we added in each of those 4 sections. And that's going to allow those corner seed beads to sort of pop out, give us a nice diamond shape surrounding our crystal. Go through the next 3 seed beads, skip over the corner, go through the next 3, and keep doing this until you have reinforced this section at least twice, just like that. And you should have a little diamond shape of seed beads over top of your crystal. And then follow your thread path to the opposite side. So you'll skip over that next section, and then your opposite side is where you're going to do this again, adding in your 1 seed bead around every 3/0 beads, then 3 seed beads in between those, then adding your crystal and tightening that up on the other side. So to get over there, I need to head through one of the corner seed beads, follow my thread path through those 3/0 beads, through the pinch bead, through the O beads, almost there, through this pinch bead, and then through these 3/0 beads. And remember, we want to be coming out a pinch bead on this side. So I'm going to go through one of those and start by picking up a seed bead, going through the next pinch bead, and continue on the same way just like we did before. So if you need to move back the video, go ahead and do that and add your crystal to this opposite side. All right, so once you have your two crystals in place, one on either side, it should look something like this. And what you want to do with your excess thread, and you can even go in with another piece if you want to, because it's still got some mush to it. But once you go back in and you start going through all of these beads again, just wind your way through the thread paths, pull the sections even tighter if you feel like you have any that have a little bit more give to them. You want these sections of 4 pearls, make sure that they are popping out. So as you tighten up, just take your needle underneath and do that, and then weave your thread back around to get those to stay in place. I'm going to actually continue on and do a little bit with you right now because, for example, those 4 pearls might want to start doing that, and I don't want that to happen. And it's really simple. The more you squeeze the bead, and I'm just going around this section where the 3 O beads are. I'm gonna kind of squeeze this as I go, because as we squeeze it and pull, that really gets a lot of that excess wiggle room out of there. And we're just gonna keep doing that until we use up our thread, and then we'll make some half-hitch knots, of course, before we use up all the thread. And if you feel like you ran out of thread before you tightened up all the sections you wanted to reinforce and tighten up, you can always add on more thread and continue doing that. So I like to kind of go around and reattach those pearls where they attach to the 3 O beads. I find that that reinforces this really well, and it's already starting to feel even tighter. So that is all there is to it. Keep on tightening that up. And you can use those little holes there right in between the section of pearls if you want to add some wire straight through that, or directly string these onto some beading wire or other material and incorporate these into a final finished piece. Go ahead and have fun with these beaded beads and use your imagination. So here is the final beaded bead component added to some chain. If you want to do something like this, you can see I just fed a piece of wire through the pearl ends. There's a gap there in between the groups of 4 pearls where you can use that as a hole. And then I just wire wrapped loops on either side and attached some chain with some jump rings, which you can see the more you go around and tighten this up with your thread, the stronger it becomes, and it becomes a very, very sturdy beaded bead with 6 sides. So that is all I have for today. I want to thank you all for being with me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it was easy for you to follow. Feel free to leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you gave this a try, or if you'd like to give it a try, or if you plan to do it in a totally different colorway. I'd love to hear about it, and also maybe if you have another creative use for beaded beads, feel free to share that below too. Go ahead and give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and hit that subscribe button while you're here, because I'd love to have you back for future tutorials and more beading videos. Don't forget to check right down below the video for the full materials list and links to all of these products. Of course, you can find everything you need at Eureka Crystal Beads. I'll be back again real soon. In the meantime, I hope you all have a fabulous rest of your day, and as always, happy beading.